Want to build your career with CMI confidence? Well, it all starts with the tools at your fingertips. CMI creates workplaces full of inspiring leaders with its on-demand resources, network of mentors, and industry-leading accreditations. Search CMI Confidence today.
This session is recorded and will be available on the CMI website and YouTube channel. Join the conversation by using the live chat box for your questions and comments. We'll answer as many as we can during the Q&A.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Navigating the Future, Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Change Management digital event. My name is Natasha Clegg and I'm an Events Delivery Coordinator at CMI. Don't forget to join the conversation by using the live chat box and we'll answer as many questions as we can during the Q&A. I'll now hand over to Claire Williamson to begin today's event.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Claire Williamson and I am a volunteer board member with CMI Northern Ireland, and everyone's very welcome. Today we have an informative session where you'll gain insights into entrepreneurial mindset and strategies for success, discover the power of innovation through real-world applications, and learn effective change management practices for positive organisational transformation. Today's session is in collaboration with Help to Grow. The Help to Grow management course is a 90% government-funded leadership course designed to help take your business to the next level. Developed by industry experts at world-class business schools across the UK, this leadership course provides you time away from the challenges of running a business to invest in the delivery of increased innovation, profitability and growth. And we're very lucky today to have Mark and Robert joining us. And Mark is owner of a window company. He'll tell you, and a few other businesses. He'll tell you a bit more about himself when he comes on. But Mark actively engages in learning and development programs which enhance his innovation and mindset, facilitating growth and change within himself and his business. And more recently, Mark completed the 12-week Help to Grow program at Ulster University, which is obviously, as he said, the leadership management program to aid business performance, resilience, and long-term growth. Mark's business is going through a period of growth and change, and the program has helped facilitate learning related to this during the important time for his business. And we have Robert Ferguson, who is joining us. He is a seasoned executive renowned for his exceptional leadership in revitalising businesses and launching startups. Known for assembling and guiding high caliber teams, Robert excels in strategic visioning and execution, significantly boosting revenue, profitability and market presence across various sectors. So we have Robert and Mark joining us now. You're both very welcome. And just to note, Mark is having a camera technical issue, so you might not be able to see Mark at the minute, but he's definitely there. So, you still there, Mark? Yeah, just to give me.
Yes, I am indeed. Yeah.
Okay, just definitely making sure you're still there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mark, do you want to begin with your presentation and talk, and then you can hand over to Robert when you're done.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for giving up your time. As part of this talk, my intent from the start is to deliver some value, to deliver something hopefully new, useful information to you. So what we're going to talk about is my business, which is called Roof Window Specialists. We're going to look at I suppose entrepreneurship, innovation and change management. So I'm going to go through just a brief bit of background to give you a bit of context about who we are. So this is the agenda, who are RWS, how we started, our values, our vision, our entrepreneurial mindset, innovation through real world applications, change management, and then our final thoughts. So I would encourage any questions at the end, would be delighted to answer them. And I'm just going to go to the next slide. So who are RWS? So my background, I have grown up in the construction industry from the age of 10. I've been on a building site. I went to university. I ended up getting a job with Velux Roof Windows. They're the biggest roof window manufacturer in the world. I worked there for 13 years. It was only meant to be a few years. Within a year of working there, I noticed a gap in the market to replace old roof windows. At the time, I suggested to my then boss we should we should be doing this. And he told me, no, people wouldn't spend the money. The owner of that business, Villicam Roosin, 60 years in the making, their ethos was one experiment is better than 1,000 expert opinions. So I took that literally and I started this business. Now, it didn't happen for another 9 years because I was doing it at the weekend, shall we say. I started the business in 2017 and it was literally one man, one van and 1,000 leaflets. And that was all I had for marketing. I had no budget whatsoever. I had basically a month's salary and I had to make it happen. So we're now in 23, but in 2024, we have over 14 staff. We're continuing to grow. We work in mid-Ulster, covering all of Northern Ireland, right through to Dublin and across to Donegal, which is kind of the top half of Ireland, if you like. And our future plans are to grow across the UK and that. Just going to slide on. So this picture here, you're probably wondering what's it got to do, but it's very significant because on the left-hand side, it's a picture of my father on a roof. The small boy, a 13-year-old, is me in a yellow wetsuit. That yellow wetsuit on that day was significant because that's the day I decided I am not going to work on a roof and I went to university. Ironically, the picture on the right is 25 years later. I have a business that I dreamed of, roof window specialist, and that's it there, back at the same house. So it's amazing how I'm sure you've all heard the talk, join the dots, look back. Well, that's the dots joined there. So as I say, started one man. You can see our van. We had no marketing budget. The picture on the right is a picture of me, and that, what I want to say in terms of mindset, the person there, that was in 2017, and the person now had to change and had to evolve for the business to evolve. So I'm going to talk a bit about that next, because it is very important in business. It doesn't matter what the business, if the business owner's mindset isn't right or isn't developing, then the business will reflect that. So as a business, our purpose is to transform homes and the quality of lives by bringing fresh air and natural sunlight from the outside in. And that is our purpose in everything we do, and obviously making homes better with the services that we provide. So a bit about our vision. Every business, I believe, has to have a vision, and that vision pulls you into the future, and it will change, but it's been a massive impact for us, and it's been so beneficial. And again, doing the course, the Grow For It, and other courses that I'll talk about, it always comes back to what is the vision? Because if you have no vision, the people that you bring into the business will go nowhere. So our long-term vision is to be the #1 roof window installers in the UK and Ireland. I speak about this to everybody I meet, and it will happen because we're making serious tracks towards that. We also want to partner with a social company with the same values and customers. I'm going to talk about that, what we do, and that's for the circular economy. Our short-term goal is to expand into Dublin and Donegal market. We're already doing that. I'm starting to make inroads. We also want to bring on apprentices and graduates to continue building their great culture. The reason for that, every business needs fresh thinking coming into it, and we also want to give graduates opportunity, and that was one of the reasons why I was very keen to work with the University of Ulster. I was a past student of that, and the Help to Grow program has been very beneficial because I've been able to get closer links with that, which we'll discuss later, and also continue to deliver for our brilliant customers, partners and suppliers. No matter what the business, the customer is the most important thing. If you're not delivering for a customer, you don't have a business long term. So like all businesses, we have got values. So our values are basically, they're the core of everything we do, and everybody's accountable to them. That's the people we work with, our partners, if it's a digital marketing agency, if it's any other business that we come in contact with. But it's basically simply teamwork, expertise, attitude to succeed, make it happen, and service excellence. These are the standards we go to. And that picture, I'm going to talk about that in a second in terms of mindset, and give you some real truths about business. Also part of our strategy, I know it doesn't look at here, but long term, the windows that we replace, we have a challenge with them, and we want to do good with our waste. So what our long-term aim is to create this RWS planter box, which is basically a box where you can grow vegetables in it. Our long-term aim is to go back to the communities we work in across NI, the UK, wherever, donate these to schools. And the purpose there, and again lining up to the Sustainable Development Goals, is to get children to learn not to throw out waste, i.e. the planter boxes there were waste, they're now made into something useful. Grow vegetables, eat healthy, and bring that with them, because at that age at school, they can bring that throughout their life. Also, these boxes, and we've now a new concept of a greenhouse made out of completely all our waste. That's almost finished. It's in just finished development. And the long-term vision there is to get that into community groups, men sheds, the communities we work in, to give back. The picture on the right is basically at Christmas every year, we donate our wood to local charities where that'll go to people that will benefit from it. So it's business doing good. And these are some of the innovative things that we've thought of, because we have to look after the planet. We're custodians at the moment, and we're handing on to the next generation, and the next generation are very focused on that. So the entrepreneurial mindset, basically Wim Hof, if anybody's familiar with it or not, but you embrace the power of your mind. The limit is not the sky, the limit is your mind. So that guy in the picture that you've seen in 2017 has had to embrace and change their mindset for their business to grow. And it's personal development is something that I encourage anybody to get into, and it's essential for a business leader. So basically, these are a few things that I do. The sea, basically I was introduced to the sea in the middle of lockdown. And when I went to the sea with like-minded individuals, I've been able to surround myself in a group. A lot of them are business owners. And from that first day in the sea, there's been a lot of brilliant partnerships formed. And from that, there's opportunities that I never thought have succeeded. Not only that, but you're with a group of people who have the same issues. And the more you spend time with these people, the more you understand how to deal with the challenges on a daily basis. The other thing I've got is curious to learn, be curious. And that's something I've always had, is why does that happen? How do they do that? What could I do? If I look at another business, I'm sure when I look at Robert's business, if he talks, I will be looking at how does he do that? What could I learn? It's not a jealous mindset, it's a what can we learn? So the Help to Grow program is part of that. Scale X was another program I've done, which has been very beneficial. Basically surrounding yourself in a program with business owners that have business with 100 to 200 staff. They're exporting globally. When you're in that group and in that environment, which I'm talking about next, you learn a lot. What you really learn, and for me, obviously you've heard the saying that don't be the smartest person in the room. I've spent a lot of time in these groups, and what I've come to learn is everybody is dealing with the same issues. They're just on a different stage in their journey. And it's been a massive help. Some of the things I'm doing now, I could never have dreamed of, and where our business is at. The other thing about the mindset is resilience. You have to be really resilient in business, and I suppose we've got at the bottom, never give up. You can't, if you give up on anything in life or business, you'll never achieve anything. So you have to keep going, and that's any business will adopt that. Innovation, basically, there's all innovation in the world, but one of the most important things for me is the power of connection. And when we talk about the power of connection, I mean working with other people that you could benefit from. So that is essential. And also franchising is what we want to do with our business long term. And that means the business we're building now is something that we can sustain for the future. The RWS app is basically where we want to use technology. Where we're going to use technology is when we franchise our business, use an app so that when we sell an area, i.e. London, we've got a digital print of our market using AI, machine learning, etc. And they never give up. This is a project. That project would never have happened if we hadn't the values in the business and one thing given up. The project we thought was gone. It was one of the biggest projects we dealt with in 2023. Change management. Like any business, there is growth, and growth can be painful, but you have to embrace it and you have to be prepared for it. And through the various courses that I've done, I've been able to manage that and speaking to other business owners. And I suppose our aim is to be number one. And if you want to be number one in your industry, you have to constantly review what you're doing, adapt and change. And then I suppose the other thing is build a team. I look at the people that work in our business. I'm a direct support, not they're I support them and let them be the best they can be. And if you've the right culture in a business, get good people, get out of the way and let them do their job. And as a leader, work on the strategy and how you can support them. And delegation, that has been the biggest thing starting as a small business owner, is to delegate, free up your time and let good people do the job. And that teamwork, again, back to our values, is very important. So our final thoughts, I suppose, if you're in a business, if you're starting a business, dream big, just go for it. Trust your gut and never give up. That brings me to the end of this presentation. Hopefully that was of value.
Thank you, Robert. We'll hand over to you now, Robert, if that's okay. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, guys. Hi. So my name is Robert Ferguson, and glad to be here today. I'm the owner, founder of a digital agency in Belfast called 4 Gears. A bit like Mark, a lot of what he was saying there resonates strong with myself, and a lot of what he said there applies to 4 Gears as well. We started 4 Gears 4 years ago now, so exactly a month into lockdown. And I guess for us, 4 Gears was sort of born from some frustration, if you want to call it that. Previous life, other businesses that have had a lot of the digital marketing and marketing service that we needed, we were outsourcing those to other agencies, other individuals. And I guess very, very quickly it became apparent that it was almost becoming a full-time job just to manage the website guys, just to manage the PPC guys, the SEO guys, all that kind of stuff. And it sort of started to get really frustrating. And I guess then whenever we came up with the idea for 4 Gears, it was really about trying to take all of those services that we were using multiple providers for and bring them all under the one roof. The big challenge we had, I guess, was that we tried to do this a month into the first lockdown. So family, friends, a lot of people thought we were absolutely crazy trying to start this. At that time, as everybody knows, we couldn't leave the house. It was literally a laptop and a kitchen table initially. But as with what Mark said, we had a very, very clear vision of what we wanted to do, what we wanted to achieve, and what we wanted 4 Gears to be. So a lot, with like an awful lot of other businesses and startups, we very much sort of focused on one particular niche, if you like, a vertical. And for us, that was content creation. Content is king when it comes to marketing, and it was certainly something that we had expertise and experience in as a group, people who came together to start 4 Gears. So content creation very much was our focus in the early days, and we very much organically grew from that. But I think for me, trying to be disruptive, if you like, in terms of the model that we were building around this business, we didn't want to grow too quick. We didn't want to scale too quickly. We could have scaled an awful lot more quickly than what we have and what we did. But it was vitally important for me at the time that we were picking the right people and the right team. Yes, I'm an ideas guy, I'm a big picture guy, strategy and things like that. But, I could not achieve anything that I've achieved so far in terms of my own career professionally if it wasn't for having the team of people around me that I have. So when it came to 4 Gears and who was part of that team when we started it, one of the big things that we wanted to do was make sure that we had the best possible people in key roles within the company and the business. And we very much did that and built the core team of 4 Gears around the specialisms and the services that we wanted to offer to our clients and our customers, but making sure that we could get the best possible people in place to deliver those. So that was really where 4 Gears came from, and how we started. And the vision that we had, certainly, we very quickly realized that with other constraints and stuff placed upon us within the marketplace, it was very hard as a digital marketing agency to essentially promote ourselves, because it's a very competitive space, and it's one of those spaces where a lot of big, well-established agencies and players are doing fantastic work. We were sort of the new boys sort of tapping at their heels. So there was an awful lot of hard work, sleepless nights, long nights, and really just trying to promote ourselves with, a bit like Mark, little to no budget in the early days. So we just got the head down, stuck at it, and really focused on being the best we possibly could be in terms of creating really good quality, strong content that very organically started being recognized as being good. And from that, then we grew. We were getting asked by clients that we had been creating content for, can you build websites? We're like, yep, we can. That led to, can you do SEO, PPC, all those other areas, which now form part of the core offering of what 4Gears is about. I think for us, very early on, after, we're working towards this vision, I've been lucky, on this journey to meet an awful lot of really great people who've supported me and supported the businesses along the way. And one of them had said at one time, okay, well, now you've got your vision, but what's your ambition for the business? Where do you want to be? It's okay having a vision and a very sort of, clear idea of what you would like it to be, but what is the actual ambition for that? How are you going to achieve that? What way are you going to do it? What action do you need to take to realize those ambitions and realize that vision? And it sort of made me take a step back at that time and really think about, okay, well, having a vision of wanting to be a big, international agency, it's probably quite a bit away, and it's quite easy at times, particularly as a small business owner, to be discouraged with some of the challenges and roadblocks, and things never go according to plan, as you know. So for us, it was about maybe breaking that down and really looking at our strategy and our strategy for growth and saying, okay, well, how can we break that into more incremental sections that, we can sort of chip away at, so that whenever we get to that end point, we're reviewing at the end of the year, we actually have, all of us collectively, got a real sense of achievement. So for us, the strategy for 4Gears and how that constantly evolves is something which we're very cognizant of here within the company. The other thing, when it comes to the sort of strategic vision, and Mark touched on it in terms of the change management of that, it's like anything. We're very lucky as a business that because of the nature of what we do, we are actively involved with a whole range of companies, a whole range of sizes of companies across various sectors, different geographical areas, different products, different mixes, different stages of their own business journeys. And I guess for us, that has really honed our skills and enabled us to, whenever we are working with a new client or working with a potential customer, we can very quickly sort of determine, where their pain points are, where they're feeling frustrated, where we can add value and where we can help. And it sometimes has been, we're so focused on doing that for our clients, it can be easy at times to forget to reflect and do that for ourselves. So one of the things that we very much looked at in terms of the whole sort of change management, whenever we're implementing an idea or a new system or a new infrastructure project from a digital transformation perspective, you're always going to get your early adopters with any sort of change plan. But it's about making sure that everybody in the organization, whether it's internally or externally for a client, is feeling part and feels that they're a stakeholder within that change. And that really comes down to really clear, good communication. I can't stress enough the importance of, really clear, strong communication, both internally and externally with your teams and with your clients. And that's something that we've, at times we've struggled with, definitely, because it does require, particularly if you're offering that as a service to a particular client, it really does require a buy-in, if you like, from the client themselves to engage with this process. But it's certainly something that internally for 4Gears is very much part of our mantra and part of our culture within the business, is that, we always bring everybody else along and work in a very collaborative space. Again, because we are a creative business, the creativity, you can get creative block very easily. So the collaborative nature and what we do, some of the best ideas have come about sitting at a coffee at the coffee bar downstairs in the office, and that's something that we're very adamant that we try to instill with every new employee that comes in, and every team that we have across the production teams, the design teams, the development teams. There's this real culture of innovation within that, and it's something that we're very passionate about, because we need to be constantly innovating. There isn't a one-size-fit-all approach to marketing for any business out there. And yes, whilst there may be certain characteristic and key similarities, if you like, between some of the frustrations and challenges that businesses face, there's not one size fits all approach to how to rectify that. So certainly the ability to work together as a team and have that sort of spirit and culture of innovation within our own team, that definitely is seen and perceived then by our clients and is demonstrated through the work and the values that we do. Another thing Mark touched on, which we completely agree with, we're very active in 4 Gears in terms of education and giving back what we can to our communities and to people we work with. I personally have been very, very lucky and privileged to be involved a lot of mentoring of startup businesses and students and alumni coming through who are starting off on their entrepreneurial journey. And we get asked an awful lot of time, well, how do you do this and how do you do that? And I guess, one of the things that we'd always say is it's okay to fail. We've made some absolute howlers and some cracking mistakes in our business journey, not just within 4 Gears, but within some of the other businesses that I'm involved in. And I think the key for us has always been to learn from that, not beat yourself up too badly about it. Certainly if you're a one-man band, if you're starting off and within the startup environment, it can be quite discouraging if you make a mistake or you come up against a challenge, you don't quite know how to go about overcoming that. And one of the things that we was chatting about before was, particularly within Northern Ireland here, there is that real collaborative network of people out there who are more than willing to help and give advice. And so anybody who's starting off in their business journey is like, my advice would be talk to people. You'd be surprised how many people out there are willing to support, are willing to help. And certainly that's something that we believe very passionately about here within 4 Gears. We are about, get out there giving not just our clients support because they're paying obviously for that service, but being out there and helping with the young people, helping with people who are innovating and beginning on that journey. We also work an awful lot with a number of charitable organisations, doing some fantastic work within our communities, West Wellbeing, Suicide Prevention, Brainwaves, NI, who are a brain tumour charity. Fantastic organizations doing fantastic work. And because we are a sort of production house and digital marketing each under one roof, we're able to help and support those very worthwhile organizations and lots of what they're trying to do in terms of promoting and raising awareness. And we're happy to do that. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that we do here at 4 Gears. What I would say in terms of fostering an innovative culture within our business, one of the things that we do, again, probably leads itself more because we are quite a creative bunch in here. We have on our own internal systems, our own workflows, our ideas pot, if you like. And one of the things we sort of pride ourselves here on 4 Gears is if you come to us with an idea on the back of a post-it note, we can turn that around into a commercial entity and a revenue generating business within 6 to 8 months. All the tools are here. And certainly it's one thing that I've encouraged within my own team. When we're here, we're all wearing a 4 Gears hat, but we have individuals within senior roles within the business and within junior roles within the business who are running their own little sort of side gigs and their own businesses around, different things around production and creativity and things like that. And we encourage that. And certainly as a business owner, I'm very passionate about encouraging that and supporting anybody within our teams to be able to explore their own dreams, explore their own vision, their own desires, and really go for what they want to try to do in their own entrepreneurial journeys. So that's something that, our ideas board, we throw them up every now and again. Once in a week, we'll sort of sit down and go, anything new this week, anything interesting there? Yeah, maybe let's take a wee look at that. And we support each other and very much sort of are a soundboard, if you like, for ideas that we would have. And we find that works very well for us, keeps us fresh, it keeps us current. It's always forcing us to look at the new trends, both in the market in terms of technology and things like that. So that's how we would do that within 4 Gears. And thankfully, just celebrated our 4th year last week. So looking forward to continued growth and many more years to come. Am I still there?
Sorry, Claire, you're on mute. If you could just unmute and do that'd be great.
Just saying thank you to both. That was very interesting. I'm sure a lot of people had a lot of takeaways, as I did. And I think we'll have a few questions coming through. But maybe, Mark, just to start with you, because you recently embarked on the Help to Grow programme at Ulster. which, just to remind people, is the 12-week leadership management program. Just what impact does strategic training program have for yourself as an individual and then as your business as a whole? You can give us a bit around that program.
Yeah, well, it's invaluable. I started the business, and there's a bit of truth here because I'm going to be really honest. Whenever I started my business, I was completely insolvent on paper, and I had quite a challenge for about 7-8 years with the property that everybody had. So that has driven me to be better and to learn more. There's a lot of lessons. So there's the biggest lessons are in the biggest pains you suffer in life, if you like. So that's what drove me. So whenever I knew there was a course going at the university, having went there and experienced a brilliant education through it, which has got to me where I'm at now, the course was invaluable because I had a mindset, first of all, of curiosity and wanting to grow. But everything that they covered in the course, there was a lot of things covered, but every week I came back from doing something, we're able to implement it in the business. We're still implementing it. You're in an environment also with other like-minded people dealing with the same issues. So that was very beneficial. You had the expertise of different, if I think of Pádraig McGowan or different lecturers, expertise in their own field, which you're fit to ask questions on. They had great case studies. You could relate to that. The follow-on, even after it, meeting up with people from the course. And then on top of that, the knowledge you gained as a business owner, you're trying to lead people, you're trying to look at the next thing. There's so many hats you have to try and wear. But with that course, I was able to take things away every week. And then I suppose the other thing, as I said at the start, part of our thing is to work with graduates. I know within the next couple of years, we're going to have graduates from University of Ulster or Ulster University working in our business. And that there was a bit of strategy too. I wanted to learn more, get a closer allegiance, and I suppose I found everybody in the course approachable and knowledgeable as well. So it has been very beneficial. But like any course, you have to put it in, you have to implement it, and you have to take the action. And that's what was good about it. And I've encouraged other business owners, and I know other ones that are doing it. So yeah, for me it was very beneficial.
Okay, thank you. And Robert, just noting that when you were chatting there, you were saying a lot about innovation, and obviously that's a word that a lot of us are used to hearing. So can you just give us a bit more on how you foster that culture of innovation within your organisation, and kind of what strategies do you use to encourage creativity among your team members?
Yeah, certainly with regards to, I sort of touched on it at the beginning there, and how we built the core team here at 4Gears when we first started out. As I said, for me, it was vitally important to ensure that we had, the right people who were just not, the best at what they do and everything else, but, very much sort of, shared the vision, and both the vision and ambition for what we were trying to achieve here with 4Gears. And I think, I can't stress enough the importance of having that team from the beginning. Like, don't get me wrong, I started the business on my own. Very quickly realized that, I may have great ideas, but I can't do this and I can't do that. And there's people out there who can do this an awful lot better than me. And I guess, in those early days, it was super noodles and hope. Do you know what I mean? It was very much, it didn't have a lot of money to be going out there and recruiting, best in class people for this, that, and the other else. But all I had was my vision, and all I had was this sort of idea of what I really wanted to achieve. And I guess from a leadership point of view, being able to communicate that vision effectively from the very outset was critical in attracting the people that came on board in the early days of 4Gears and what we set up. So I think the first thing I would say is, building that strong team, people that share the vision, be able to communicate that vision effectively. I think the other thing I would say on that is that it's important to not just communicate it and then go, right, you've all heard that thing and back on. You need to constantly, be revising that and going back to it and reaffirming that within the organization. I think if you are starting off with a culture and mindset to be innovative and be driven and have a really clear vision and goal as to what you want to try to achieve, it naturally permeates into the culture of the business. And the things that we do to encourage that and keep that up and running, as I said, whilst everybody who is here at 4 Gears is focused on 4 Gears, our clients, our services, and what we do for people, I actively encourage, a collaborative approach where if one of the team comes in with an idea about something, they bring it into the team, we share it in a workshop, we roadmap it out, and we get everybody involved. That's not to say everyone's going to become part of that business, or that idea may become a longer term project, but it's something that we actively encourage. The other thing, that we're very passionate about here, as I said, touch on with regards to education. We engage with the universities. We've had a number of placement students in over the years, and they've been fantastic, bringing a fresh set of eyes, a fresh perspective. There is a difference, particularly within the digital world. The trends are currently constantly changing. So we're very open to that. And we like talking to people. We get out there and we meet a lot of people. And it's just about being open to other experiences and other things that are happening within industry, within business. And that's something we place an awful lot of time and effort into to make sure that we are current and we are taking on different perspectives from different places, different cultures, and different sectors.
Okay, thanks. And Mark, do you have anything to add to that in terms of innovation and strategy in your business?
Yeah, pretty much a lot of similarities actually to Robert. We're just about to embark on getting graduates and students into our business and being innovative. I think going back to the vision, we want to be number one. We want to be the best at what we do. Now, that's a goal you're striving for, so that always forces you to be innovative. So, like, we're embracing lean in our business. It's come from the manufacturing world, but again, through some of the courses, that ScaleX course I was in, I was very fortunate to be in the company of guys that will be renowned as lean leaders in the north, and they actually had a summit about it. So we're implementing that, and that it's helping us evolve, because lots of businesses have waste, and until you recognise the waste, that if you're doing a task and it's taking up time when you could do it quicker, well, embrace innovation to make it better, i.e. AI, machine learning, which as a business we're trying to learn more and more, but that has to be brought into your business and you have to be open-minded to it. You can't, if you're sit still and you be static, you're dead in the water. Like, you have to keep moving. We have, like I'll give you an example of innovation. If you rang us as a customer, within 30 seconds, we're already looking at your house on Google Earth and we're telling you what the issues are likely to be, the age of the house, the size of the windows, all of that, so that we can, again, it's about looking after our customers, and it's also to gain credibility, trust, to be, again, back to that vision, to be number one. Everything you do should be reflected in that. And it never ends, but again, Robert has touched on it. You don't have to know everything. There's a who for the how. That is, there's an expert to go and see. So go and see them, and you'll always be valuable to someone because you're doing something that they don't know. So that collaboration and partnerships are key to that as well.
I'd say, Mark, as a recent customer, I vouch for that.
That's brilliant.
Very impressed we were, and yeah, the experience, actually, the whole customer service experience for your business was amazing. So can't speak highly enough. Robert, and then in terms of failure, what lessons have you learned from your failures along the way? You did say obviously about previous businesses when you were chatting there, but is there anything, I suppose, that really sticks out for you that you've learned from?
Accept that it's going to happen. You can have the best plans, the best strategy. You can have, roadmap that out and, tried and tested everything. And there's no guarantees. So, yes, certainly in previous businesses, mistakes that I made there very much shaped the sort of plan and the idea and the strategy, the vision that I had for 4 years. A lot of personal circumstances were involved in previous failings that, I made sure not to repeat. There were an awful lot of early mistakes that we made, even in terms of how we structured the business, our strategy in terms of going to market. I think one of the things that we found, we put an awful lot of time, energy, and effort in developing a product or a service, which realistically, when we looked at it then and we're analyzing why it hadn't worked and why it had failed, it's because we were just wrong time, bad time for us. It was the wrong time for the market. The market wasn't receptive to what we were trying to do. So I guess when it comes to failure, I think somebody says, can't remember the top of my head who it was, but fail fast and fail quick. Because you're going to fail, and there will be some catastrophic failings, hopefully not too many of those, but on a day-to-day you may fail on certain things. And I guess for me personally, it comes back, Mark touched on it at the beginning of his section about being resilient. As long as you're learning from your failings every time, or if you fail and something doesn't go according to plan, look at it, learn from it. Whenever we're delivering marketing campaigns for clients, they don't always work 100% of the time, all the time. But it's about then we've got data, we can analyze that, we can look at what went wrong, how it went wrong, what would we change, how do we test this differently. There's so many different approaches as to what you do, which are positive, which can come from what can be perceived as a negative feeling. But certainly, I think as a business owner and as an individual, you've got to have that, resilient mindset and acceptance that you're not going to get it right every time. There are going to be challenges which you're presented with, which will come from left field. You'll never expect them, and they'll hit you like a breeze block to the forehead, if you like, and you'll be reeling from them. But being resilient and understanding, and again, I can't stress this enough, looking to those other networks, those people that you're collaborating with, those people that you're partners. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to help you and will give you that support and the ability to lean on if and when you fail. I guess the real takeaway for me is failure is going to happen. It's how you respond to that, how you react to that, and take the learnings from it and continue to move forward, and be able to adjust your positioning, whether it be your strategic positioning or whatever it is you're engaged with, allowing it to be fluid enough and flexible enough to embrace that failure and pivot and move on.
Okay, really wise words, Robert. And Mark, do you have anything to add to that question?
Yeah, there's only one thing I would change. I don't use the word failure. You either win or you learn. And I constantly learn. And I think that, I suppose I have to share this with people, but there was a period in my life I beat myself up and was hard on myself because I had failed at that. But I was learning a lot. And what I came to realize was you have to respect yourself first, and don't beat yourself up, because every time you're going through a challenge, there's a lesson in it. And I think I read a quote, it's from social media, but buffaloes face head on into a storm and they keep going because it's the quickest way to get through a storm. So that is something I use it daily, but there'll always be, and it's a chance to learn, and you learn the most. If I looked back, and I'm sure Robert or anybody else in business, if you look back and join all the dots, you wouldn't be where you're at without a few of those learnings, and they're going to come, and you have to be prepared for them. And again, back to that entrepreneurial mindset. If you have a strong mindset, I was very lucky, personally wise. That man standing beside me on that roof at the age of 10 taught me a very important lesson. He says, never, ever give up. Now, what I tell my children is the same, but equally, don't give up on the right fight. Fight the right fight. There's certain fights that you walk away from, but never give up. And that resilient mindset. I look at other businesses, I listen to podcasts, I read books. You'll see the same theme. When there's failure there, it's a learning, and they come through it. And generally, like Robert said, you just want to learn from it. And when you're employing people and you're in your team, that's all you want to say is, listen, this hasn't went right. How do we improve from it? How do we not do it again? And it kind of goes back a wee bit to the whole lean type culture. It's how do we, eradicate waste? How do we not do what we used to do that wasn't right, and learn from it and cut that out? And a big part of what we're doing now, because we want to franchise the business, our aim is 10 years time, 100 franchisees. I want to have a conference in Belfast and have people from all around the UK coming to it. I've already done it, and of course the visualization of it, but I want to be able to share all the learnings with them as we go along and grow in the journey. And that'll only come through failure, learning, whatever you want. But no, you have to embrace it and not beat yourself up, and get the right culture. If you have the right culture in your business, people won't be afraid to fail, if you like, and that's where the learnings are at. Because if you have a culture where people are afraid to fail, they'll never do anything. And as Robert rightly said, they have the ideas board. You need people coming up with new ways of doing things better. So being afraid of failure certainly isn't going to encourage that. So that's my take on it.
That's great. They're both really positive mindsets, and I suppose it's what you're both saying is things that people can apply across their lives, not just in business. So Robert, just in terms of resistance to change, which a lot of people obviously are, it's quite common, I suppose. How do you effectively address that? Sounds like you have a very positive team there anyway, but when you do, you cannot have that overcome the resistance. How do you basically effectively address that and overcome it while driving organizational transformation?
Yeah, I think accepting that that's always going to be a factor in any sort of change management process is the first step, I think. It doesn't matter what change, how big, how small, what size of organization you're working in, or you're part of, or you're working for. It's human. We don't want to change. There's going to be a resistance to it. I think I touched on it earlier. For me, I think one of the real critical success factors in managing that appropriately and effectively is just having really, really clear communication. We've seen it both, within our own businesses and certainly within some client businesses that are embarking on a change process, whether it be like a digital transformation, whether it be a restructuring or whatever the case may be. There's always going to be slight resistance. And I think the more information you can give your team, the more information you can give your staff, your employees, and even your customers, when it comes to, say, you're changing something about your terms and conditions, your pricing structures, whatever else, as long as it's been communicated effectively, I think that goes a long way to navigating and sidestepping some of the resistance. That said, you're still going to get people who are going to resist. And one of the things that we've done with that is like we've been very good at identifying our sort of early adopters. If you think about a change management curve, change curve, identifying the early adopters, almost making them as champions of that change. And certainly in our experience and practice over the years, what we find is that some of the loudest voices who are the most vehemently opposed to the change and are the most resistant can end up becoming your loudest champions. Do you know what I mean? As long as they're brought along, engaged. Sometimes it does take that personal touch. It was as a manager or as a business owner speaking to the individual or group of individuals or collective individuals that have the biggest resistance to it, taking them aside, having a chat, creating a focus group or work group around that, which, is not just telling them again, communicating the same thing, but really taking the time to listen and to try to understand, not pay lip service to, but really understand what their concerns are, what the challenges that they believe this is going to create for them and in their roles and in their life, and do it that way. I think the difficulty as a leader within a business is that sometimes you're trying to implement a change, which is probably critical to the success of the business or the success of the delivery of a strategy or the achieving of a goal. So later, sometimes it can become quite easy to get really narrow focus and tunnel vision on making this change happen. And that's why, again, it's important that, your managers, your senior leadership within that, but also if you're in a smaller business, you are prepared to sit back and take the time and understand everybody else's point of view. I would like to say in an ideal world that, you do all these things and, change is going to happen seamlessly and it'll be all jolly and everybody's skipping down into the office again, all happy, but it doesn't always happen like that. But I think that, there are certainly taking those types of approaches to resistance to change is something which, certainly in our experience and in practice for us has alleviated, I'd say, good 98-99% of any of the problems that we've had.
Okay. We've actually got a question about implementing change from Robert McCulloch in the audience there, and he's asked, while implementing change from within, how do you gain stakeholder engagement? Often with startups, you have more like-minded people than other businesses operating on a business as usual mentality. So I suppose, how do you gain the stakeholder engagement when you're implementing change?
Again, I would say what I just said there, make sure that there is clear, effective line of communication, that the vision, the ambition. I appreciate what you're saying there about startups. Generally speaking, when you're working with startups, you're maybe a small team of like-minded individuals who are very much focused on what that is. I think some of the times that whenever those startups are successful and you're bringing in additional senior members to the team, or you're maybe even looking for investment, and then investors are coming in with a very, angled or focused vision of what they want to see or how they want to do it, and that can create conflict and obviously challenges within that type of a team. I think there needs to be a level of compromise between stakeholders, and understanding that yes, while we're all going in the same direction, we all want largely the same thing. We're not all going to get everything we want all the time, every time. So but again, some of the more tactical approaches, if you want to call it that, like I said, we meant a while back there about communicating and things effectively, listening, being really genuinely engaged with the stakeholders and their position and how they feel about this. Ultimately, as a leader within a business, you want to affect that change and get that end state, that new future state of what this change is supposed to take us. So doing that is always going to pose problems and challenges. But again, I would just go back to effective communication, effective listening, being, willing to compromise and collaborate are probably the key things that I would say would be how I would approach most of this.
Okay. And Mark, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, Robert fully covered it. I suppose a couple of things. That's a tricky one. A small business, and there's challenges there too, because you've fixed mindset people coming in that are used always doing the same thing, and you have to. It's about communication, and I keep coming back to Robert's mindset. There's a vision for that business, and if it's right, now it may change. Whatever you're doing should feed into the vision, and if there's a change happening, what's the reason for it? The likes of a stakeholder, of course. If there's money coming in or whatever, they have a certain view. I think it's about adapting to the person asking that's resistant to it and the situation, and then dealing with that, but also maybe show them a business that's made a change and what that looks like. So if I give you an example, back to lean again, but I've seen loads of businesses that are doing things the same way, and they've went and seen what it could look like. And when you see that, then that helps. But you just need different strategies. And as Robert says, it's about, there's a middle ground and everybody has to win. So you have to change and you have to compromise. That's definitely critical. But just, I suppose, backing it up. And again, I suppose it's easy when you're a business, but if you're bringing in, going back to the start, if you're bringing in stakeholders, if there's new people coming in that have a big say in the business, they need to be bought into where you're going in the first place. Otherwise, that resistance is always going to be there, if that makes sense. So Now sometimes that's not easy, and I hope Robert's got some value in that. But yeah, give the examples, clear communication, and show them what good looks like, and that'll definitely make it easier.
Okay, and we have a question in from Matt. So he's asked, from your experience, what are the biggest risks associated with growth? So.
I suppose I'll finish the biggest risk is, well, like every business, cash is king and cash flow. So overstretching. I can give an example. We've invested in a new office, we've invested in other things, and you can't. The real learning, and the learning for me, is knowing your numbers. And again, go back to the course, that helps you focus on it. Now, Robert, they have more experience, but you have to really be focused on your numbers to know. So for example, we want to expand into Dublin. We want another van on the road, another teams on the road. We want to double it in 2 years. So at the minute, every decision we make, if there's mistakes or learnings in the business and it's costly, well, you need to eradicate that, because if you double what you're going to do, you've double the problems. So it's a kind of like that Santa Claus movie where they're making the toys in the factory and they make them too quick and they all fall apart. So it's about growth has to be thought out beforehand, a plan in place, an action plan, a strategy, and then match that, because if there's funding needed. But you cannot, I've seen too many times where people have grown quickly, and that service, if you've experienced our business, if we done double that, had their own people in, had their own tools, used poor quality products, that erodes all the good work that the core company has done. So it's really going back to just a clear strategy and doing it. When I was younger, I wanted to go faster, and now that I'm a bit older, I've learned slow and steady. Like Robert has mentioned with his business, and I'm going back to it. Get the foundations right, and you can build a skyscraper. Get them wrong, and the building falls down. So sustained growth and well planned out.
Okay. And what about you, Robert?
I would just add to that. I think everything that Mark said there's bang on. I mean, for me, I think one of the risks of you can't grow too quickly, as Mark sort of alluded to there, like overextending yourself and everything else. He's 100% right. At the end of the day, you can have all the vision, strategy of the day, but if a business is there to make money, if the revenues aren't there and the money's not being generated, it's you don't have a business really. So being very aware of that and the impact of growing too quickly, overextending yourself, that's all one thing. The only other bit I would add to that would be the risk of stagnating. Okay, so it's back what I said earlier on about having that ambition. You've got your vision, but the ambition then is okay. Other businesses in your space will be innovating, will be doing whatever. So I think it's a risk but also a risk of not growing. They're equally as bad, in my opinion, if you like. You need to have a clear plan, strategy, and visions of where you want to be with your growth, but also be aware then, well, do you want to grow? Do you actually want to grow? And answer that question yourself, because if you're not growing and the business starts to stagnate, that can be as bad. Your competition can innovate, and you enter into the marketplace, new technology, so many different macro factors that could influence and affect your position. So I would again just reiterate what Mark said, having that clear plan, but in a sustainable and measured and controlled way is what I would be advising.
Okay. And our final question, I suppose we've touched a lot talking about innovation. So the question that's come in, and I hope I'm pronouncing this properly, it's Abimbola. What is the optimal frequency for implementing innovation initiatives within your organization?
For us, I like to think that the businesses that I'm involved in, we have worked very hard to foster an innovative culture within the businesses. So I would argue that we're constantly getting. We're still relatively small. We're able to do that. We've created an environment and a culture within our business that really has innovation at its core, both in terms of service delivery, disruptive innovation, all the various, ecosystem innovation is one which is massively prevalent at the minute with regards to, advances in technology, AI. How do they blend together in terms of partnerships, relationships, stakeholders, things like that. So I would say, certainly my experience is we don't necessarily have a defined time scale of when we're going to, implement new innovative ambitions or projects or anything like that. It's really very much part of who we are. I would say though that within a larger sort of maybe more corporate level sort of organizations who are trying to foster that innovative culture, certainly having that contained within the strategy and the roadmap for whether it be done on a quarterly basis, a biannual basis, or an annual basis is certainly something which should very much be part of that strategic vision and direction for the company. I think every business is different. Some, might be innovating on a constant like R&D innovative cycle. Others may be slightly more taking that methodical approach to it and looking at it on a quarterly basis or whatever the case may be. I think it's really about assessing what is right for your own organization or your own business. But certainly it's something which I believe absolutely cannot be ignored.
No. Okay. And Mark, do you have anything to add to wrap it up?
No, Robert's pretty right. It really depends on the business. If I take a small business, you have to be innovating, yes, but it has to be controlled. You can't come in this week, right, we're going to do this and change strategy. That sometimes that annoys people. It has to be. And again, back to the business, if I take our own business, we have to be innovative. Again, I repeat it, we're back to the vision. If you want to be the best, you have to innovate and be ahead of the game. But it has to be controlled. Now, I've worked in larger business with 100, 200 staff or whatever, and yeah, they're innovative, but it has to be controlled. And sometimes innovation has to start in a silo in one section of the business. And then other people start to see, God, that this is good, this is positive, and then you can expand it out. But I worked in a business where sometimes they come in, and I remember sitting in a meeting in Dublin and just a picture of a paint tin of Savalon, we need 20% extra, and that was aimed at us. That went down like a lead balloon because it was poorly sold in. And I still think about that to this day. And I was like, why did they do that? And the sales director delivering it got a very unmotivated audience. And he later told one of the sales directors in the company it was the worst meeting he went to. But it was because they didn't sell it in right. And you have to do that in a bigger organization. But no, you have to be innovative. And it's, I suppose, about controlling it and applying it to the size of the business and the type. If it's an IT business, software, whatever, they're going to be, constantly innovating. It's really down to business.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you both so much. It was really, I found that extremely interesting. So I'm going to hand back to Natasha now.
Thank you. That is it for today's session. Thank you to our host, Claire, and our speakers, Robert and Mark, for your insights and expertise. Please stay tuned to hear more about CMI membership, and thank you again for joining us.
Don't forget, as a CMI member, you can find the latest management and leadership insights at managers.org.uk. If you're not yet a member, join our community to discover CMI Confidence with on-demand resources, our network of mentors, and industry-leading accreditations.